Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kickin Show, the official podcast of Kickin the Tires. I'm one of your hosts, Jerry Jordan. We've got Zach Catanzareti and Seth Eggert on the show this week. Don't forget, we're sponsored by Mike D's Barbecue. And you can get Mike D's Barbecue online at MikeD'sBarbecue.com. So we appreciate those guys being one of our sponsors, as well as Hex Coin. If you want to know more about Hex Coin cryptocurrency, it's kind of like an IRA for your cryptocurrency. So we will be having one of the Hex officials on the show in the coming weeks. So we appreciate them being on board as well. Even though they did not make the Daytona 500 this year, they were the sponsor of the 55 car with JJ Yaley, and they didn't make it. JJ didn't make the show. But they're going to be on another car. Just for the record, guys, Hex is going to be on another car later this year, so that's pretty cool. Speaking of the Daytona 500, we have a winner, folks, and it is a rookie. What do y'all think about that?
Well, I'm kind of the winner because I won fantasy.
Well, that's later in the show.
and you won by having the best pick, not by picking the winner.
Let's
be clear about that. But Cindric is the first official rookie to win the 500.
We've decided that in the media center, Trevor Bayne was a rookie. The media had a come to Jesus meeting in the media center, and we decided that NASCAR's nuts. But
well, here's the thing.
Trevor Bayne was the first rookie to win the Daytona 500.
He had rookie stripes on his car.
Yeah, he had
He had rookie stripes. That's right.
The only reason why he isn't classified as the first rookie is because he didn't declare for rookie of the year status in Cup, and he was earning Xfinity points.
Doesn't matter. He was still a rookie. He had rookie stripes on his car.
And
he's actually more of a rookie than
yeah, that was like his first start.
It was his second start.
He won the 500 last year.
And I also asked somebody from NASCAR after that come to Jesus moment, if Bayne had switched to Cup points afterwards, it still wouldn't have counted because for that specific race he wasn't declared.
And I'm not sure that we had that declaration crap back then.
We did.
We did. Was that like the first year?
It was the first season.
I was going to say, see, look.
It was the very first season. And another note about that weekend, in all three series, somebody who was not declared for that series points won.
Of course they did.
Michael Waltrip in trucks, James Buescher in Xfinity, Trevor Bayne in Cup.
Of course. So here's the thing. End of the day, Trevor Bayne was the first rookie to win the Daytona 500. Austin Cindric, the second rookie to win the Daytona 500. And it was a great finish. I mean, like, we didn't have cars into the, catch fence and going into the stands. Anyway. And we might have in the Saturday night race. But it was good. What did y'all think?
It was interesting. I enjoyed the race. The next gen car, or Gen 7, I guess we'll be calling it now. To me, it lived up to expectations. Granted, there were a couple hiccups here and there, especially with some drivers when they got flat tires, they couldn't move the car, i.e. Joey Logano. But aside from that, which those issues, they're going to pop up and they're going to get fixed over time, which there's another issue that RFK Racing Team Penske found that we'll talk about in a little bit. But otherwise, I think the only thing that surprised me is that the car got upside down.
Yeah, but not for long.
Yeah. Well, it also helps when Alex Bowman catches it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was blown away by the race. I thought it was fantastic. Honestly, one of my favorite 500s I've seen in a long time. And that's saying, I mean, I know last year's race was a total embarrassment, but 2020 was a hell of a race. So I feel like the 500 is always one of the best races of the year. And with this car, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, even going into the duels, we were hearing that it was just going to be a different type of draft. You didn't know what to expect, what the drivers, what they were what they were going to be willing to put on the line, and the Bulls ended up being, you know, really good, and they only had half a field. Wasn't spread out at all in the 500. I mean, I guess they didn't have enough time, but there was a few runs that were pretty long, and I felt like we got a lot of side-by-side racing. I felt the viability of both lanes was really strong, a lot of side-by-side, to the point where even when one lane juts out ahead, sometimes they wouldn't even go down to block the inside lane, because if you do that, then the outside lane jumps right past you. So fascinating to see those type of movements. And yeah, there was issues. I mean, yeah, Seth, you mentioned the flat tires kind of sticking the cars onto the ground. You know, Bowman was one of them, and he needed a push because the tires would just start spinning, and you would think if you were to build up momentum, it would start digging in, but it wasn't doing that. So that was weird. Couple tires, couple wheels fell off. Really, Gralla was really the one, because that was due to a pit stop. And as soon as they announced the one bolt, I knew we were going to have issues with it eventually. Maybe not this fast, but it's going to happen throughout the year. I mean, hopefully these adjustments that are being made from what we saw from Penske and RFK, I'm sure that we might not see anything for the rest of the year. It wouldn't surprise me. And I think when it comes to the safety of the car and how they crashed, I like that too. We saw Logano, he was really the first high-speed accident back on Thursday, and the car stayed on the ground. He kind of just bounced off the wall, got hit, spun like a top for like 500 yards, but you know, it was a fine accident, nothing went wrong. But after Burton, and there was, you know, he got hit, you know, when it comes to Burton, you know, he got spun, he got hit by a car, slid some more, got hit again, and then he flew up. I mean, it looked awkward to me. I felt like the old car may not have taken off like that. But after that, we saw guys like Tyler Reddick and Gilliland and Stenhouse and Gregson, you know, they hit the wall and then they got hit, and nothing happened. They didn't lift. So sometimes with how these cars crash, you know, you get hit by another car, it can bend certain parts of the car and create lift, and we've seen it here, so that's
or it bends parts of the car that will prevent something that will prevent lift from deploying. What I mean by that is the underwing, the diffuser, there is a block that is supposed to drop down when the car gets turned around. Watching the replay, it never dropped down on Harrison's car, and it dropped down on all the others.
Well, you got to also remember how Harrison got hit to get flipped over. But my understanding is after he was hit and after he's in that wreck, they just replaced the front clip and raced that car.
In the Thursday wreck, yeah.
In the Thursday wreck, yeah. So
yeah, that was a 20G hit.
Yeah. And
but when he flipped, the block that's supposed to come down to prevent the air from getting into the diffuser and lifting the back end up didn't deploy on Harrison's car, but it deployed on Logano's, Reddick's, Stenhouse, everybody else's.
Yeah, and that was because of, you know, he got hit by Hamlin and I think one other car, and then lifted up.
Yeah, it was another car that actually pushed him up. It wouldn't have really mattered, I don't think, much. But I think the design's pretty. They did make a change in the underwing in the rule book this week. I had a huge long list of rulebook changes. I haven't gone through all of them, and I do know that they did change the, I guess what do they call them, the holes that are in the wheel that basically go onto the studs, like that were, you know, in the past would have been the studs you'd put lug nuts on, but these studs go into the wheel for the drive lugs, I think is what they're called. They're going to change the tolerances on those, which is what that brings us to our first penalty issue of the year. I guess technically our first penalty issue of the year is somebody lost a wheel because they didn't get it tight, and it vibrated off, and then the other one was it vibrated and it broke, and then, you know, there were parts the wheel broke into 3 or 4 pieces, I believe. It was pretty gnarly looking. I've got some photographs of it, but on the website, if you are not, I don't know if I put it on the website or not, I put it on my Twitter account. I showed what those drive lugs were, and that's what Penske and RFK, Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, that's what they changed. They made they said that they were getting wheels that were not consistent on the exact diameter. So they went in and worked on those recesses where the lugs go in so that they could get their wheels on, because they wanted their stuff to be tight. It was a safety issue. Roger Penske said that after the win on Sunday night. He's like, we did it. We told NASCAR we were doing it. It's a safety issue. And guess what? They did not, surprisingly, they did not get penalized.
Well, if anyone in NASCAR is going to know whether or not it's a safety issue, at least for the wheels, it would be Penske. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of his supercars team that he used to co-own and the IndyCar team, both which use a single center lug, which are the same style. Granted, in IndyCar, the car just lifts up and you just mount it, while in supercars, yes, they have the hydraulic, but you still have to lift it up under the fender like a cup car. So it's something that his team specifically has experience with that I don't think any other NASCAR team on the grid right now has experience with.
Yeah, I knew the penalty was either going to be really, really big or no penalty at all. They were either going to put their foot down hard and say, if you're screwing with the gasoline, the aerodynamics, or the tires, or the engine, you're gonna get hit really hard, and they were gonna set like a precedent for the year. Or they were gonna see that what they found and what they said, there's actually merit to it, and they were right. Which in this case, I guess they were, and we saw couple issues, as you said, throughout the race. But yeah, this was something that they felt like that they had a good point with, and they made the adjustments. It would have been weird if they did penalize them and then made these changes.
Yeah.
Like, you were right, but you're making us look bad, so we're gonna penalize you.
But I will say this, where Roger said that they told NASCAR, I never heard whether or not RFK told NASCAR.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
but what I was going to say is, what I could have seen and what I was honestly expecting, where Penske talked to NASCAR, them getting no penalty, and RFK not talking to NASCAR, at least to my knowledge, getting a slap on the wrist.
Well, at the end of the day, I don't care who you are. If Roger Penske says we talked to,
yeah,
the guy is a legend, just aside from himself, but he's also a man of his word. And how often, honestly, think back, how often do we see Penske cars get busted for rule violations?
The last one that comes to mind was when Logano got encumbered. 2017 Richmond, if I remember correctly.
It's cucumbered. That's not encumbered. We don't say that word. He got cucumbered at 2017 Richmond. Yeah, we no longer have those. That was an abomination of the sport. Cucumbered races.
Today they would be disqualifications.
Yes, cucumbered races do not count. But you don't see a bunch of Penske gray areas. Okay. And if Roger, he was pretty bold about it. I mean, he got asked about it and he didn't dodge it. He just got up there and said, yes, we did. It was a safety issue. We told NASCAR it. We didn't hear back from them. They confiscated our tires.
Yeah, Jeremy Mullins even said they made a no-go device to check the wheels. And there was actually one that they found that was questionable for Cindric, and they put that at the very end because they didn't want to attempt it. And there was one team, I think it might have been Stenhouse, that they were having trouble getting one off, and at that point they went with fuel only the rest of the race.
And that's the thing that, I mean, this is new, right, Zach? I mean, we're learning. There's new parts, there's new pieces. We've got this is as several people have said, this is the biggest wholesale change of the car and its parts in the history of the sport. So I can see why there would be some, concerns on Penske, on RFK. I'm sure other teams were doing it too. Look, it's if Penske and RFK were doing it, I'm sure Hendrick was doing it. They just didn't get caught. So, and at the end of the day, it didn't matter because nobody got a penalty. So,
and under regular circumstances, this would have been last week for the Clash, which is generally at Daytona, and I'm sure a lot of these would have been found then, but now is this week instead.
I just like you said, the car was solid. That hit by Joey Logano was pretty brutal, and it didn't look like there was a ton of damage underneath. I'm not sure everything that happened. They said they went to a backup car, but you knew that Paul Wolf was going to go to a backup car.
What they said was they thought it would take maybe 8 hours to change everything out, which they could have done, but they didn't have all of the parts with them because they had already put together a backup car.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Harrison Burton to change essentially just the front clip took 4 hours.
Yeah.
Which in the past would have taken maybe 2 to 3 days.
So yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking the new car a lot. The money team and colleague penalties, hate it for those guys, but like we talked about, at least they didn't lose money.
Yeah. Now for the money team, Seth, you would probably know. For the money team, they're not a full-time team.
No, their next race is
it's just the next four races.
The next 4 races they're entered in.
Okay, so that's like
so the next race I believe Catanzareti said that they're looking at is Coda.
That's a huge penalty for them.
Yeah.
Really bad. They lost 4 races on a part-time startup team. That's awful.
And I think they're only planning 12 races.
Okay, but here's the difference.
They would have taken a money penalty.
Yeah. Well, but think about this. Okay, is it really a huge penalty though? Because it's not like, okay, so the crew chief can't be in the garage. And I guess how many people are suspended with this deal?
The crew chief, tire changer, tire carrier.
Okay, so they're running a rented team anyway. Okay, they're running a rented crew. It's not a full-time crew. So that's not the other 2 guys, they're not that big of a deal. But the crew chief, he can sit in the stands. Okay, he can buy a ticket. It's not like or be back at headquarters and watch it over, over the instant feed, with the T1 line that NASCAR has at the track for all the teams. So I don't think that's as big of a penalty as it used to be.
They're not like escorted out of the track.
They're
not like escorted.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The crew chief for Gralla has actually been suspended from a race before, watched and called a race from an RV.
Yeah.
Tony Uri Jr.
He knows how to do this. Okay, and that's when
and I think that was Dale Jr. in New Hampshire, if I remember correctly.
But that's when they didn't have the T1 lines and the instant computer, everything going back and all that.
Yeah.
In today's age, having your crew chiefs, not be at the track, it's a little bit of a disadvantage on the box. But with all the cameras and all the feeds that these guys have, I don't think it's as big of a deal as it used to be, for sure. So we'll see. But and if anybody has time and talent at Coda, it's Catanzareti. Okay, they go down there and race at Coda a lot in the Trans Am series and the other stuff that the private gentlemen's league or World Rally League or whatever I've got a
World Racing.
Yeah. So I was down there. I spent just December before last down there with those guys, and it was freezing cold. And they broke a piece on the car, and I was helping them find a machine shop to get that part replaced. So because I'm from Texas, and if you're from Texas, everybody, right? Seems like, hey, do you know anybody? I'm like, we can try. I'll start calling around. So we did. Ended up Jesse James, the motorcycle icon, he did it for him. So that was kind of cool in and of itself. But so I don't know how that penalty's. I don't think it's near as bad as it used to be. So, but one thing about the 500 this past week, there was one interesting aspect. Our stat guy, Zach. Okay, Seth came up with the last guy to race with Dale Earnhardt, that's a full-time Cup driver.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Was Kurt Busch, but he was also the last guy to get flipped off by Dale Earnhardt. I'm like,
I didn't know. I didn't know that part.
supposedly there was somebody that was also flipped off, where they're going to the, on the closing laps or something, but before the wreck, but obviously, but Kurt will still be the last driver in Cup full time to, and then somebody said, well, Greg Biffle. Nope, Greg Biffle didn't do it. So
He wasn't in Cup yet.
that's right. He was not in Cup yet.
And somebody asked about Kevin Harvick. He wasn't in Cup yet.
No, Kevin Harvick came to Cup because of Dale Earnhardt.
Somebody also asked about Kyle Busch. He hadn't even made his truck debut yet.
Right.
And somebody else asked, I think it was about, I want to say it was about Truex. And I had to look it up. Truex had attempted a Cup race. I think it was at Pocono, and DNQ'd. So he didn't race with Senior.
So yeah, so Stat Guy over there, he came up with a good one, and Kurt enjoyed the interview.
It looked like he did. It looked like he did.
And I told him, I told him the night before I'd called him. I said, look, I want to do this story, and he said, well, let's coordinate it for tomorrow, and because he had to do Fox and Friends or something. And I texted him. I said, are you still good? And we went over there and got the interview, and he was having fun with it. So that was really cool. A good story, Seth, for us to come up with, us to work on together.
I was gonna say, like you said, on the Stat Guy there, I had been following essentially this changing of the guard over the past 2 seasons, because I happened to notice when Junior retired, there were only like 5 or 6 left that ran with Dale Senior, and I was like, who's gonna be the last one?
Kurt. So
yeah.
Well, I hate to take your title away from you on this, but Stat Guy Zach has the TV ratings for the Daytona 500.
I got the numbers.
Different kind of stat.
And apparently, he works in TV, right, Seth? Yeah. So he's got the inside. He's got some inside knowledge here for us on the Kickin show.
It's not inside. It was.
Darn. Come on, it sounded so good.
Yeah.
Don't ruin a good story.
Never let facts get in the way of a good story.
Well, these are facts. These are not my numbers. The 500 did very well, and I'm glad it did, because it was a hell of a race in front of a packed house, and it did very well online too. So it averaged a 4.7 rating, which is a 8.87 million viewers on Fox, 8.88 million across all platforms. And it was the highest rated and most watched edition of the race since 2019, which definitely is good sign. I mean, we know how the race has gone the last 2 years. 2020 was run mostly on a Monday, and then 21 was like a 6-hour rain delay. So that annihilates. There was bad numbers last year. But this year, it came back well. Going off what it was like in 19, which was a 9.1 million. This came in as an 8.8. It will probably edging towards 9 million, I would think, because 19 on pretty much all metrics is like the last point that, TV and linear, like everybody goes off 2019, because that was the last regular year. And this year isn't entirely regular still, but on TV, it's kind of what we're going off. So I think it was pretty good. They maxed out at 10.5 million viewers for what was basically the finish. It was like 6:30 to 6:45 p.m., which is right around when it ended. That's not surprising. That's usually when people tune into the race. It's usually the start, and then right there at the end. And the ratings jumped 68% and viewership 81% from last year's all-time lows, which I mentioned there. And probably the biggest thing is that it outperformed all the primetime Olympic shows, and also the NBA All-Star game. Pretty much dominated the whole weekend, which I think was pretty surprising. I mean, I knew it was going to do really well. It's such a singular event for the entire sport, something that a lot of people tune into, and they might not watch too much NASCAR throughout the year, but they're always going to watch the 500 and perhaps, one of the championship races. So some surprises, some that, I feel like they could have been a little bit better, but overall it was really, really positive, and I was really happy to see him with with how energy packed and how fulfilling that race was for a lot of people.
You know, it was. I'm glad that the ratings were up there. We've had good weekends with ratings. We have good weekends out in LA with the ratings with the Clash. We had great ratings with the 500. But we also had great weather all week. We did not have a single rain delay the entire time this year at Daytona.
Well, there's one practice that was delayed, but aside from practice,
yeah, I'm talking
no
about racing.
delays.
I'm talking about stuff that actually, that actually matters. So there's some races we don't even have practice. So yeah, so not a single rain delay for any of the races. I do want to go back to the Saturday night race and say shout out to Myatt Snyder. Man, I don't know if you saw that or not. Oh, you got Myatt's car on the
truck.
Truck, okay. Louisiana hot sauce. Myatt took one hell of a ride, and he literally took that ride right in front of Michael Jordan. Okay.
And Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, and Bubba Wallace.
And Denny Hamlin's bus, which caught some of the debris.
Right, but in my photo, I took a photo from the press box all the way across the track. Okay, and it's a grainy photo, but you can still see this big tall figure, and you can
he was
the
like
outline.
This.
It's the outline, like
he was standing up like this,
and it's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So and off to the side was Bubba, but that was just that was cool.
And just about that crash, some front suspension was found in Denny's bus. Matt Mills hit the engine. A truck arm speared through JJ Yoey's car and then impaled itself in the deck lid. And they still have not found the transmission from the car.
They haven't found the transmission from the car?
Correct.
I bet it went in the lake.
Could be anywhere.
Either that or it got hit and smashed to pieces.
No, I mean the housing would be there somewhere. So
true.
I'm betting it.
But they haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I'm betting it's in the lake because if you look, there was stuff tumbling and flying. Yeah. But I talked to Myatt and on the next day, he and I texted together, and he's like, "I'm okay, a little sore in my leg, my foot." He said, "But I'm fine." But he was worried. I mean, it was a looking back on it, was a pretty gnarly looking crash. So glad. If you ever had questions about the safety of the cars, even in the Xfinity series, that was kudos to NASCAR for everything that they did. Saved, because I talked to Marty, his dad, the next day, and he's like, "That was crazy." I mean, how do you? And I didn't want to just say what was going through your head, but it was like, I mean, as a dad, you had to think about the fact that he could have lost his son very easily, and ironically, I talked to Tim Cindric, Austin Cindric's dad, a couple days, the next day, the Monday after the 500, and a lot of people may not know this, but Tim Cindric doesn't want his son racing.
Yeah,
he doesn't want Austin racing.
Yeah,
the 500 winner this year, his dad's like, we really don't want. It's his decision.
The story goes Austin sat his parents down when he was 10 years old to make a business proposition that he wanted to race.
Yeah.
And eventually Tim Cindric got hooked up with Corey Gordon and Corey's father, who run in the Summer Shootout series. And the bright idea was to bring Austin there, let him run, get his racing fix, and he'll grow out of it.
Big mistake.
That I don't think that strategy worked, because Austin Cindric is your Daytona 500 winner for 2022. So there you have it. Great TV ratings, great stories with Kurt Busch, some safety issues with the tires, good race, and speaking of good racing, I think you just had a good race that ended in the virtual world, right, Seth?
Yes, the eNASCAR College iRacing Series just made its debut. And you know what you need in overtime, especially in the third and final overtime? Enough fuel. Kenneth Talbot, the leader, ran out of fuel on the final lap. And in the chaos, he ended up in the wall. And fifth place, Colton Salick, won the race, earning, granted, it's total $40,000. I'm not sure how it's being divvied up, but earned a scholarship to the college that he was representing, that he actually goes to, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University,
which is right next door to Daytona. That's the
so
college.
he just got a
yeah.
He probably just got somewhere around a $15,000 to $20,000 scholarship, if not more, to that university.
That college is one of the best in the country for its aeronautical programs. And if you drive down there, you can drive in front of the college, and they have this huge, the front of this like building with a big plane in it, and they have all kinds of simulators and stuff there. So yeah, that's really cool that a kid won from Embry-Riddle.
Yeah, there's 2 more races in the spring for this. I believe the next one is in March at Charlotte, and then in April at Watkins Glen, and then there's going to be 4 races in the fall.
Okay, awesome. Any other news? How's the For the Fans Racing League going?
Well, For the Fans Racing League, they've actually had off since their FTF 500 because everyone from For the Fans was at Daytona. So their next race is this weekend at Auto Club, and I might be running in it using the sponsor provisional from Bar Visuals.
Oh, okay. Dalen's gonna. When do we have another race coming up?
Yeah, we do have another one coming up, but the sponsor provisional was offered to someone, but that person has race control duties that night, so he can't use it.
Okay.
So apparently I am the first alternate.
Do you have to put Bar Visuals on the car?
Yes.
Okay. Where? Right next to the Kickin' the Tires logo?
I guess I'll find out when they send me the paint scheme.
Okay. Tell Dalen, you're not running unless I won't let you run unless they put a Kickin' the Tires logo on there too. So,
I'll talk to Justin about it.
Okay.
I'll talk to him a little about it.
You got to at least have one small logo on the car. Come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it has to be on the hood. Maybe.
Or next to the number.
Yeah.
Somewhere visible.
Hey, okay. Our logo would look great on the new number layout paint scheme, right? Oh, they don't do that in iRacing yet, do they?
What, the new number layout?
Yeah. Do they have those
with the forward number? Yeah, for next gen cars. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sitting in my sim right now, but I haven't even logged.
Yeah, it's actually now stamped in that space, so everyone who, including a former teammate of mine, who insisted on having it in the normal spot, now if it's in the normal spot, it's buried underneath all the logos.
Okay. I actually like the way the logo looks on the new car. The number looks on the new car. So
I thought I was gonna hate it when they first announced it, and then I think Kurt Busch's car was like the first one to kind of show it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then seeing him on track last week or at LA a couple weeks ago, I'm like, wow, those look really good. And I don't think every scheme knocked it out of the park. I don't like how Larson's looked because I don't know if he even changed it. It doesn't really complement the change of the number. It kind of looks like the old car still. But most of them, the sponsor and the paint scheme, like they kind of work together to make it look natural, and it just looks more like a race car. I'm shocked. I thought I would hate it, but I love it.
I was sitting up in the press box and I was being a snarky smart ass. And I was like, wow, I like the new logo or the new number placement. It makes the cars look like they're going so much faster. I think it's cool. Some of the NASCAR purists hate it, but you know what? Adapt with the change because it is what it is. It's there to stay. It looked good.
Here's my question. How long until we start looking at the number placement on the Xfinity cars and the trucks and think about how old it is that they're in the center.
Probably the same as like the playoffs, like how it took a little bit until
Yeah.
it kind of edged into those. It'll be a couple of years, I would say.
So we talked about iRacing. I started a new column last week, and I'm going to be doing a column every week. So if you're watching the show here, we're going to be betting on NASCAR, literally betting on NASCAR. Because I'm in Texas, I have to use an offshore account to bet on NASCAR unless I drive about an hour to the east over to Louisiana, which I did, by the way. On the way back from Daytona, I downloaded the BetMGM software while I was in Louisiana, and I actually already have my picks for California's race for who I want to pick. It will probably end up being somebody different than we pick in fantasy in a couple of minutes, just based on where I have to pick, because I came in third in our fantasy stuff. But last week I announced that I will be picking 3 different variations of drivers for you to bet on. I'll also do some going forward. I'll also do some head-to-heads. There's in the past, when you're betting on NASCAR, all you can do is like to win the race or to finish in the top 3. That was all the bets that were out there. Now there's some head-to-head matchups. Like this weekend, one of the head-to-head matchups is William Byron and Alex Bowman that everyone's talking about. People are betting on Bowman over Byron. I don't like the 1-to-1 odds. It's a plus 100 bet, which means basically you're 1-to-1. It's a coin flip. Okay, if I'm going to bet on something, I want to get some odds. So that's why it's going to be hard for me. Most of those head-to-heads are going to be pretty close to 1-to-1 odds, because the casinos make money off that. They just want to make the juice, the money in the middle. If you bet on this one and if 50% bet on this one and 50% bet on this one, and they have to pay off this one and they don't have to pay off this one, and they just take that money and pay it over here. Well, there's a loser's fee. It's called juice. It's a 10%, roughly 5 or 10% that the casino gets to keep on a sports bet. That's where they make their money. And I'll be picking some of those, but I'm going to focus on the wins right now, just because the odds are better. And like this weekend, I haven't broken down all of the odds, but I'm going to tell you, regardless of what the numbers are for this weekend, I'm picking Kyle Busch as my winner. It's a no-brainer. Go ahead, Seth.
I was going to say, speaking of betting, there was actually, I'd gone out and walked around the fan zone pre-race, and I bumped into this fan who was new, and she said she was new, and I said, okay, so who are you picking? And she said, well, I'm going to do what I do in horse racing, and I'm going to place a bet on the number 2.
On the number 2. Well, that paid off for her.
Yeah. She said she had placed a $50 bet on the number 2, which was Centric. And if I remember correctly, his odds were plus 3,300.
No, that's plus 2,300, which is 33 to 1. But he was actually a 25 to 1 pick. Well, he was 25 to 1 odds.
Yeah,
at the time of the race.
Yeah, so $50, not much, but it probably paid for a trip to Daytona.
Well, let's do the numbers real quick since I've got my calculator out. 25 times 50, it's a $1,250 payout plus her original bet. So she walked away with $1,275. So that's definitely nothing to sneeze at. So the way I look at it is I pick a safe bet. Okay. Then I pick a mid-tier bet, somewhere in the 15 to 25 to 1 range. And then I pick a long shot. Like last weekend, Cody Ware, if he'd have won the race, he was 200 to 1. It dropped to 150 at one finally right before the race, but and it also depends on which sports betting outlet you're betting with. But like this weekend, Kurt Busch is a good mid-tier pack to bet on. But I'm thinking, hold on, I'm going through all of my bets right now to see where are we at. For some reason, they're not showing up. Sorry about that. But anyway, I will have that column out every week before the race comes out. Usually I'll put it out on a Saturday night or early Sunday morning, so that I get the best odds, the most recent odds for people to look at. A lot of people, they put their betting odds columns and their picks out early in the week. Well, that affects how people will bet on stuff, and that will change the odds. If everybody got on board, and let's say Kyle Busch was a 6-1 or 7-1 odds to win the race, if everybody starts betting on Kyle Busch, then those odds are going to drop. So the money on race day is not going to be as good for that bet as it would be on a Thursday or a Friday, so to speak. So we're going to wait until Saturday or Sunday morning early, probably Saturday if I can get it done, with the final odds to pick those. And I'm betting them. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. It's not fair for me to give you a pick and not at least fade the action for $5. So every week I'm going to put a few bucks down, just so that the fans know that I'm invested in it. I'm serious about it, and I want them to follow. Last week, my picks went up in smoke. Okay, flat out. Joey Logano, he got spun. That's the thing about NASCAR. Anything can happen. Unlike, you're betting on the football, you're getting 4.5 points if you're taking, the underdog. Anything can happen in NASCAR, where the favorite who's won all day long and led every single lap, on the final lap, he could be taken out. So there's always, in betting on NASCAR and in motorsports, you're always going to have more losers than you will winners. But I own it. I picked Joey Logano last week, and he led a lot of laps and was up front and stayed out of trouble until the end. But at the end of the day, he went up in smoke, and so that was it looks like a bad pick, but I still stand by the fact that I think he was the guy to run with last week in the sports betting world. What are your thoughts, Zach, Seth? What do y'all think about sports betting and NASCAR embracing this and partnering up with these casinos?
I think it's an interesting way to bring in new fans, because there are some sports fans that watch purely to bet. So, and where NASCAR for the longest time was not a part of the gambling betting culture, essentially, it opens yet another avenue for more fans.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, it's so incredibly popular in every other sport that I can think of, and a lot of people, when they watch a sport, they can't get into it themselves, so they want to feel a level of investment, and they want to participate in what's going on. And what better way to feel invested into the action than to have some money on the line? So we know NASCAR is really close to a lot of casinos. I mean, I think of Dover, which has one basically connected to the raceway, and Kansas, and obviously Vegas, and going there every year. I feel like it's a little bit part of the culture with what NASCAR has been doing the last couple of decades. So it's working. It's working well, and if it gets people more interested, then I'm all for it.
Okay, I got my picks up now. Kyle Busch is let's see. Kyle Busch is an 8-1 bet as of now to win the Wise Energy 400 at California at Auto Club Speedway. I actually got him at 9-1. So that's how things can change in the betting world. So I got him at a better rate than what he is today. I bet him as my favorite pick, so to speak, my safe bet. My mid-tier bet is may sound, I don't know. I think that Austin Cindric could do this again. Okay. And he is 35 to 1 odds, which that's a little high for my mid-tier bet. I think I think that's a little, I want to keep those mid-tier bets somewhere in the 20 to 25 to 1 range, or plus 20, plus 25, plus 2,500. But I'm going to go with it. My long shot bet is probably going to shock y'all. And that is going to be Bubba Wallace.
I had a funny feeling you were going to say him.
Yep.
To be honest, I had that feeling, and even though it's a long shot, I don't think you're off by much, because the new car is such an unknown at most tracks. Someone can easily hit it, and I would not be surprised to see almost some racing like days of old, in which you have a third, if not half the field, a lap or more down, because people are just missing the setup.
Yeah, he's plus 8,000 or 80 to 1 odds. And I think he is, I think he's your long shot pick for this week. I haven't put all that in the column. I'll break all that down later. It may change too, depending on how the odds go. I may, I reserve the right to what I say on this show, may not be exactly what's in the column, because if everybody starts loading up, then that changes the dynamic of what the the best value bet for your money. Look, if you can't afford to bet, don't bet. If you need help on gambling, there's places to get help for you out there. So I don't encourage people to spend money or bet money that they don't have. Don't bet above your means, and do it to have fun. If you're going to do it, it's got to be about having fun. It's not, it can't be about, oh my God, I have to win this money. So as you said, I think it's great for the sport. I think it's Kansas is at a casino, Dover's at a casino. We've got sports betting legal in Florida and a lot of the other states that we go to. I mean, we're going to Vegas in next weekend. Okay, that whole town's run by casinos, so it's a no-brainer for me as well. So looking forward to that. This weekend, however, we are going to Auto Club Speedway. Well, everybody else is going to Auto Club Speedway. The three of us, we're staying at home this weekend, right?
Yeah. Much needed week at home too.
What about you, Zach?
I'm not going to California. I will say this Sunday was one of the saddest days of my entire life.
I'm sorry, man. I would have gotten you in.
Well, if I'm being honest, it was an incredibly sad day for me. I enjoyed it tremendously, but it felt really wrong for me not because it'd been a while, and NASCAR is always going to be my number one in life, and it's the biggest day of our year. Is Daytona 500 warning. That's the Oscars for movie fans. That's the Super Bowl for NFL, and for us, it's February 20 whatever. So yeah, I felt long to miss that, but looks like Martinsville is going to be my first race. So every time I'm even driving, I'm just imagining driving to a racetrack. So, but I'm not going to I'm not driving to California. I'll wait another couple months or so.
Well, I'll put you down for Martinsville and make sure that you have what you need. I think you'll be there with Seth.
Yeah, I should be good for Martinsville too. So
awesome. That's good stuff. Yeah, it was. I would have. All you had to do was fly in. We'd have gotten you a credential somehow.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Oh, you got a hard card. You're one of the rare ones. You could have just shown up. You've got a hard card. We could have gotten you in. I had parking passes. So, but it was a great weekend. I'm sorry you weren't there. I hate it. I really do. Auto Club Speedway this weekend. I gave you my pick. What do you guys think about the action? We're going to be racing on the big track. And one thing about the big track, I said this to somebody else earlier today. Auto Club's really a super speedway that's a lot wider. Okay. It's, it's not banked as high, but it's still pretty
well. The way I would describe it is it's the super speedway cousin to Darlington.
It's a what?
The super speedway cousin to Darlington.
The Darlington? Well, the draft works there. Okay. So there's that. And
it's a tire shredder.
And it's a tire shredder. So it's going to be interesting. Zach, what are your thoughts? You like you like the old California that we have right now, or the new California that they're talking about building?
The new California.
Really?
I like this track. I didn't always like it. There's times where it gets on a really bad run of races where it's just not good entertainment. I feel like Truex went in by 12 seconds a few years ago. But it's been a couple years. This track's now 2 years older. Yeah, it grinds up the tires. It's very rough and bumpy, and test the drivers. It's going to test his car a lot. I mean, we're going to be hitting high speeds and a lot of tire wear. We're going to see how the bodies hold up to that abrasive kind of surface. They're going to be running from literally, I mean, they have an apron there, but the drivers, they say screw the apron. They go down to the grass, and they're basically nipping, shaving off the grass on both ends. So, and then they end up all the way down up by the wall, and we're going to see a lot of fascinating restarts as we do every year. But yeah, if this ends up being the last race there, I won't be too upset, because I love the idea of having another short track, especially something that's going to be so kind of groundbreaking and something kind of fresh for that type of for that place in the country.
Well, I will say I did like the diagram and the schematics that came out of the I guess it's been a year or so ago now, that when they announced that they were going to reconfigure
2 years ago, actually.
2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, that they announced they were going to reconfigure that, and that will be interesting to see what happens. But Toyota's going to be so brokenhearted. There won't be another Toyota speed trap going into turn one with, numbers that are pushing 200 miles per hour. So,
Michigan.
Go to Michigan. Yeah, there you go. Sponsor
Sponsor
Michigan in the backyard of Ford. Yeah,
and
there
Chevrolet.
you go.
Good point.
Yeah. Well, Seth, you got. I guess we have to do fantasy picks for this weekend. Okay,
Yep.
go ahead.
So, first off, I do want to mention there is somebody who did pick a winner in fantasy. Matt picked the Truck Series winner with Zane Smith.
Good for
He
him.
won twice. Does he get 2 wins?
No, but he gets 3 bonus points for when we start the playoffs.
He won twice. What do you mean?
Well, Zane says he won twice because they threw the caution like right.
Right before.
Yeah.
So he had to win it a second time, which is very impressive.
And I mean, to hold on to the lead when you're the leader and the caution comes out, that's pretty good. So
now, before we make our picks, I hope you two remember who you picked last week, because you can't pick them this week.
I don't remember who I picked, but I'm sure that you're going to tell me.
Yeah. Jerry, you cannot pick Logano or Riley Herbst.
Okay.
Zach, you cannot pick Keselowski or Noah Gragson.
I'm not.
I can't pick Kyle Larson or Landon Castle. But I wasn't planning on picking either of them anyway. And of the three of us, I have the fewest points for Xfinity and Cup.
Who did I pick?
First.
Who did I? Oh, we don't have Xfinity. Who do we have?
We don't have trucks.
We don't have trucks this weekend. Okay, so
yeah.
Okay.
So for Xfinity, I'm gonna go with Ty Gibbs. And for Cup, I'm gonna go with Blaney. So next to pick in Xfinity is Zach, who finished 2 points behind Jerry.
I did well I did not do well in trucks though. My pick, Johnny Sauter, was out early.
Well,
yeah, he's been having a rough time.
Yeah, that truck may have had a history.
Yeah, it wasn't a smart. Yeah. But other than that, I picked last.
Yeah.
Not in trucks, but yeah. So am I doing both, or am I picking last in Cup?
You pick last in Cup. You pick next in Xfinity.
Okay, so Xfinity only. I'm gonna stick with the Monster Energy theme and go with Riley Herbst. He got off to a good start this year in Daytona. Got a little more experience with that team. He was second here a couple years back behind Burton. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Herbst.
So Jerry, who are you picking for Xfinity?
I'm going with the first Daytona 500 rookie, Trevor Bayne.
There you go.
Because he's going to be driving a Joe Gibbs racing car, and I think that those JGR cars are super fast, and he might give your guy a run for his money.
Now, what about your Cup pick?
Do I pick now,
Yes.
even though I was third?
You you have
on the
31
show. That's right,
points.
on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my cup pick, and we get precedent. Do we get precedent over?
Yes.
Kyle Busch.
As soon as you knew you had precedent, you're like, okay. Zach, what about you for cup?
Now, if I pick somebody and someone else picks my guy, they can like take
because
my.
Because you're on the show, you get precedent.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going.
Yeah, that's what I just asked.
Yeah.
That's why I was like,
That's the perk of being on the show.
I like that rule, Seth.
that was my rule, just for the record.
Yeah.
That's our desperate attempt to get more people on the show.
That's right.
I'm gonna go with Larson for sure. He's the bigger the track, the better he is. So, yeah, he's gonna pick up right where he left off last year.
And that is all of our picks so far, at least for those of us that are on the show.
Who did you pick?
I picked Blaney and Ty Gibbs.
Okay, so Summer is going to pick Kevin Harvick, and she is going to pick Brandon Jones.
Okay.
So that's Summer's picks. Do we have picks from Rachel and Justin and Matt and everyone else?
Not as of yet.
Okay. Well, they should have got their picks in or been on the show. It's imperative. It's very important to be on the show, isn't it, Zach?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. So we appreciate everyone tuning in this week to the Kickin' Show, and thanks for watching and bearing with us. We try to make it fun and have a good time. Just sitting here talking about racing. We're going to have some guests on this season as well. And don't forget our sponsors, Mike D's Barbecue and Hex Coin. So they help pay for this, and they're very important to Kicking the Tires and the and for all of us here on the show. So that'll do it for us this week. Everybody have a safe weekend. If you're going to California, good luck, have fun. If not, enjoy whatever you're going to do. I'm going to sit around the house, do a few things here. My wife says I have some honeydews and chores that I have to do this weekend because I've been gone. So you guys take care, and we will see y'all next week.